Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so here we are for another fantastic week of questions. We've got some crackers for you this week. We've got some great ones. We're going to jump to them in just a moment. Before that, though, you know what I'm going to tell you. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. But most importantly, I wonder if you've heard about the best, most wonderful Kendo equipment website in the entire known universe. It's called KendoStar.com. How do I know about it? Well, I own the place. So, of course, I'd say it's amazing and brilliant. But everyone agrees with me. If you look at all of our reviews, everyone's probably shopping there in your dojo already. We're pretty much the best place. And probably the most popular, to be honest, by things they're looking, the way they're looking at the minute. So, get to KendoStar.com. You get to get amazing Kendo equipment. You get brilliant service. We get to keep the channel going. We get to keep the lights on. Everyone's a winner. KendoStar.com. Right, okay, let's get to these questions. First one, bit of a long one. Let's have a go. Let's have a look. Hi Andy, thanks for both your time and your fantastic Kendo style products. I'm a happy customer. Thank you very much. My question is about Shotachi. I'm very recently passed my Godan grading in Brussels. Fantastic, congratulations. Both before and during the grading, Shotachi was a very important element for me. My first opponent tried to grab a quick Debanakote after I went for my first men, and that, of course, is fair game. But in hindsight, it got me thinking about the situation. I feel Shotachi, especially in grading, isn't important to me just because it's the first point and the first blood traditional connotations it might have, but also because it's a statement I make. It's my hello, this is my Kendo moment. In light of that, I feel it would be extremely hard for me not to do men when I start my grading. I'm guessing most people actually go for men in that situation, and from that perspective, it might take a bit, it might make a bit cheeky thinking about going for Kote or Do, as you know that your opponent starts by pressuring men. That's probably what's coming. Personally, I would go for men anyway, even knowing my opponent knew this beforehand. I might just try to change my timing a bit. Hey, it justifies my Kendo understanding, not building everything from men. Am I being naive about this? Am I being a bit limited in my views for not approaching this in a more use the best waza for the situation way? Of course, I'm perfectly aware that for these kind of grades, we should show a variety of waza during grading. Hopefully I did. I'm strictly referring to the Shotachi situation during the grading. Would really like to hear your opinion on this subject. Thanks for everything. So the Shotachi, or the Shotachi is how I tend to pronounce it, is the first strike. Okay, the first waza that you make. And yeah, you're absolutely right. As you start going up the grading ladder, 4th dan, 5th dan, definitely 6th dan, 7th dan. And I expect 8th dan as well. The Shotachi is of critical importance. And yeah, I think there's a bit of a paradox, all right? Because yeah, in an ideal world, the best Shotachi is men. And for my grading videos on the internet, I've done an analysis of it, but you can see in my last grading, my 6th dan exam, yeah, I challenged men. And I think you're right. There's like there's a high probability that a lot of people are going to do that. So if you're going to make a decision to do other than men, like if you're going to do like Degote or like Kaishido or something like that, they're sort of popular. I think you have to be careful that you're sort of, I think there's a fine line to tread. Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it would be wrong to say you have to or you should do the shotachi. The shotachi as men, because that depends on the person, the situation, and everything like that. So I don't necessarily think it is. You know, it should be set in stone that it should be that. But if you're gonna let's say you're gonna do kaishido, it's really popular, and it's quite a common pattern that there's a I'd say there's probably like a 60 to 70% chance that the opponent's going to lead with men, and within the first couple of seconds you can probably gauge which direction that probability is going to go, whether it's going to go up or it's going to go down. And then there's a sort of pattern that's quite common where the person will wait. Okay, well, as soon as they come for that men, I'm going to do my kaishido because I know they're going to come for men. And that tends to look a little bit cheap, right? That tends to look a little bit cheap. So, because, you know, it's obvious that they're coming for men. They're coming with the big, you know, not proper, but they're coming with a kind of honest semi and bam, this way. And you're just like, yeah, okay, I can see that's what you're going to do. So I'm just going to wait it out. It's not really what they're looking at when they're looking to pass it those higher grades. So it's tough. There's definitely a fine line. It means if you want to, for me, if you're going to use a waza that's like not men for your shotachi, if you're going to do degote or kaishido, something like that, suriage men, that sort of thing, I think that's totally fine. But what you can't do is be what's called a machiken, just wait for it to come and then do it. When they do their semi, you have to do the semi kaisi, your own semi. Okay, then come on then. Yeah, and you have to draw that men. You have to control that moment that they make the decision to go for men. So it's about like who's in control of the decision making process, rather than the waza that's used when in that point. Yeah. So if you think, right, okay, I think they're looking for men, right, then, well, let's get them to, let's draw it out. Come on, pa-pam, yeah, or come on, bam, yeah, this sort of thing. Then of course that looks like that's a fantastic waza. So in that case, it kind of flips it all on its head, because the person that's coming for men is then kind of you know, like ignoring what's happening from the other side. So, you know, if you're the one doing the men and you come in with your semi, okay, I'm coming for your men, and they sort of do this semi back and you just go for sort of men anyway, and you sort of missed that they were sort of trying to pull that out of you, then it flips it around, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So that becomes their good shotachi. So it's quite complex, right? But this is higher level stuff we're talking about, yeah. And it's something I think about a lot as well, right? Because, you know, I've got a high level grading next, and that's coming around pretty fast. And yeah, it's something I think about an awful lot. And like I say, in my sit-down exam, I was like, no, I'm going to go for men. I'm going to challenge men for my first strike, because I think that I've got the good men waza, and I think that the men waza will decide the grading for me. So from both of mine, I just made sure that I was the one that took the initiative, took the sen, and made sure I was in control of the moment when I launched my strike. And that meant that one of my opponents, my first opponent, tried to do the demana kote, but because I was in control of the sen, they weren't able to catch the moment. So I rode over their kote and struck the men. Second opponent tried to do the sort of debana men, but wasn't able to. It became my debana men, really, because they again weren't able to catch the sen. So their men launched a split second after mine, sort of in response, so mine landed first. So I was able to land 2 men with my shotachi, which I think is probably the reason that I was able to be successful in the exam. So yeah, and that's obviously like the best thing that could happen. But it might not happen that way next time. You know what I mean? Of course, I'll go, come on, let's see what you've got. And if I think that I've got the chance to take the men, I'll take the men. If I think that I've got the chance to get them to come from my men, then I'll use some kind of debano waza, whether that's debano men, degote, maybe kaishido, nukido, suriage, anything like that. So I I used to think that, don't get me wrong. I used to think like, oh no, Shotachi should always be men, But I don't really think like that these days, especially, you know, I talk a lot with other people. I've talked a lot about how like, you know, how my wife's a big influence on my kendo, for example, and how she approaches her tachiai with people would be different to me, because we've got different type of kendo, we've got different, you know, different in terms of height and build and stuff like that. So there's that's taken into consideration as well. So, you know, I think there's a lot more to it than just saying, oh, it should be men. Do you know what I mean? I hope that made some sort of sense, and it wasn't just some sort of incohesive ramble. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But I really think it's about taking the sen rather than definitely like who's in control of the sen, the opportunity, rather than whether it was men, kote do, or whatever. Okay. Next one. Inspired by the topic drama, could you recommend any specific Japanese drama about Kendo, preferably without silly romance? I don't really know, to be honest. I was never much of one for watching Japanese dramas, but I know that it was in the tiger drama Ryomaden. That's like almost how old is that? It's more than like 11, 12 years ago, something like that. It was in that because that was like a historical one about Sakamoto Ryoma. So there was some scenes in the Pitokuden in Kyoto with them doing some kendo, or like old school kendo type stuff. Don't know how historically accurate it is. I don't know anything about it. So I didn't really watch it either. I don't think I even had a TV in those days. But anyway, yeah, it's and I heard there's one called, I think it's Hanzawa Naoki or something like that. I was talking about it the other day, actually, which has got some kendo scenes in it. I don't think there's much that's like serious, and there's certainly not one that's like about it. You know what I mean? Next one. I'm thinking of getting a carbon Shinai due to its durability. What's your opinion of carbon Shinais, and do many people use them? Do many people use them? No. No, they don't. I've used a carbon Shinai before, of course. They are, in general, more durable than a bamboo Shinai. But like, I don't have a problem with Shinai durability. To be honest, I don't break Shinai very often. I've talked about this in the past. If you're finding breaking a lot of Shinai, the solution isn't necessarily to get a stronger Shinai. It might be that you need to improve your tenuchi. And here, look, right, I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent before I properly answer your question, but there's a thing about carbon Shinais where they've got a bit of a reputation for, like, some people tend to say that it's painful to receive the strike from the carbon Shinai. In essence, whether it's, you know, whether you receive the strike from the bamboo Shinai or the carbon Shinai, it's generally not more painful, one or the other. It tends to be about the person on the other end of the Shinai. And I think, you know, if you find someone hits you with a carbon Shinai and it hurts, it's probably not the Shinai's fault. There tends to be a certain attraction to carbon Shinai, to certain types of kendoka, shall we say. So you know, if you live in an especially dry climate and you do a lot of keiko, then I can possibly see the benefit of it. All right. But do I recommend them? No. They don't feel the same as bamboo Shinai. You don't get the same sort of feedback. I don't think they are brilliant for helping you develop better tenuchi either. And like I say, I think if you're finding you're breaking Shinai regularly, then there's an issue most likely with your tenuchi or the way you're striking, rather than the Shinai itself. You need to, it's generally, it's through using your right hand more than your left hand that Shinai tend to break, because you're not allowing the Shinai to flex along its whole length from the Tsukagashira to the Kensaki. When you make a strike, the whole thing needs to flex. So that's why you have to swing with your left hand. Whereas if you're using your right hand, then only half, not half, but like 2/3 of the Shinai is flexing, and it's much easier to break it like that, all right? Especially when you're doing doichi, all right? So yeah, carbon Shinai is much more flexible. They are more durable. They're not indestructible, but they are more durable. But they don't respond in the same way. They don't feed back in the same way. And like I say, I don't think they help you improve your tenuichi. So if you're feeling like you know you've got an issue with durability, I urge you to go back and look at the way you're striking first. My question this week regards advice on what international Kendo tournament and seminar opportunities one should prioritize. I do not have that much money and therefore can't go to every event. Well, sure, of course. So what sort of events should I definitely attend if I can? And which ones aren't worth the money at my current level? Second Dan. I was considering going to one in Italy that has 2 8th Dan senseis instructing, but I was told it might be overkill for my level at the moment and that I should prioritize getting more training and basic experience from nearby tournaments and seminars with 6th, 7th Dan senseis running them. I'd obviously go to them all that had either money, but I suppose it boils down to if it's better to get more Shiai and mid-level seminars and spending a ton of going to high-level seminars I might not get as much out of due to being a freshly passed Nidan. Thank you. I think that's a really good point. I'm not sure. I think you've raised an excellent question. I think there's an awful lot to be gained from seminars with high grade sensei. I'm going to caveat saying dependent on the sensei, but there is, right? I have a thing where there's certain seminars I will definitely try and attend, and then there's some that I'll go if I can. All right, and I'm just putting your point about being a Dan grade, what Dan grade you are, to one side. All right, and the ones I'll prioritize in terms of seminars are generally ones where there are 8th Dan senseis, and particularly the ones that come top of my list are ones that are official delegations from the All Japan Kendo Federation. I haven't always been able to go to those, but in my experience, they've been by far and away the best seminars I've been to, and I've always gained the most out of. And the reason I care about those particularly, and I'd say even for sort of lower Dan grades, I think those sort of seminars are good, is because those seminars where the senseis are coming from the Zen Kennen, from the All Japan Kendo Federation, they're coming there with the purpose to transmit the message directly from the source, to be exactly how we want it to be and how it's supposed to be. All right. So, and they can cover basic things or less obvious things that I think all of us can benefit from and make sure that we're following the right path. And I think those sort of seminars are particularly beneficial to everybody, because, as I say, it's a delegation that's coming directly from the source of where what Kendo is being dictated to us. So they're always the top of my priority. All right. After that, then it depends. All right. And if there's 8th Dan senseis, then yeah, probably I'd try and go to those too. But then again, that's because at the moment I'm sort of 6th Dan challenging 7th Dan soon. And there's a lot for me to, gain from senseis like that. At 2nd Dan, just passing 2nd Dan, yeah, I get it. There's a question mark over whether you're really going to benefit from that kind of sensei in the same way you would from maybe a 6th or 7th Dan sensei, because you're going to be talking about the basics. And I think there is an issue. I think it's easy for for lower. I don't like to use the word lower grade, but I mean, you know, and beginning dan grades to overcomplicate things when they listen to teachings that are probably more suited for people who are 5th dan and above. So my advice would be I'd try and prioritize at your level where you are. I'd probably prioritize nearby tournaments. Definitely get some Shinai in, especially if you're younger. You know, if you're, you know, get plenty of Shinai in. You'll learn loads doing that, frankly. And yeah, if there's sort of more local seminars or easier ones to get to that are perhaps run by 6th or 7th dan senseis, then yeah, I'd probably prioritize those. Because I think you're running less risk of overcomplicating things, and you know, especially as these 8th dan senseis, it depends. It depends. It does depend, but many of these 8th dan senseis are instructing you via a translator, so it's not always like there's always a little bit of a gap there as well. So if you're talking about priorities, obviously if you can go to them all, great. But if you're talking about priorities, yeah, then probably I think you're right. I'd go with the Shinai, then maybe the seminars with the 6th or 7th dan senseis, and then if you've got a bit of extra time and money, then yeah, go to the 8th dan sensei ones. And as I say, I'd caveat that with I'd potentially, if one comes along where it's an official delegation from the ZNK or the All Japan Kendo Federation, those are pretty rare. That's the reason I say that. Those are pretty rare. But if there's one like that, then I'd try and get myself along to that too, because I think everybody can benefit that just because of there's a different element to it. Then once you get past 4th dan, then I think you can start prioritizing the higher grade senseis. Yeah, to be honest, because what's going to happen is, you know, things are going to get overcomplicated. You're going to hear stuff that sounds like it's a contradiction to perhaps what you've heard before. It's probably actually not, but it doesn't necessarily. It's harder to divine that when you know you've got less experience. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at on that. Okay. It's pretty rare 2 8th dan senseis are coming though, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool too. It does sound pretty cool. So if you want to go to it too. Don't get me wrong. Hi, Sensei. I'm a beginner and received my Vanguard X Protective Borg set about a month ago. Thank you very much. I'm way more unsatisfied than expected. Oh, good. Beginners need to understand the difference in quality from the club's Borg. The comfort and protection is so good. It's like day and night, and it looks awesome. I think KendoStar is not as popular here in Quebec, Canada, but I'm sure we'll see more KendoStar equipment in the future. Thank you. I'm glad you're really happy with the Vanguard Borg set. I think, you know, we do send a lot of stuff to Canada, but I think you're right. Probably comparatively to other areas of Canada, yeah, there's probably fewer orders that go out that way, probably. But I'm sure we'll start to see more, as we are doing in every region, to be honest. But yeah, thank you. Are you planning to visit Canada for a seminar or promoting your company? My club has 2 sessions a week and I often can't attend both. Is it a good idea to rent a gym space and set up a friendly keiko with other members of the club? Okay, so a couple of questions there. I'm not currently planning to visit Canada for a seminar or promote my company. It's something I would like to do in the future. I've got a lot on this year in terms of travel. But if I get the chance to go to Canada, I certainly will. I've got a lot of friends in Canada. I've been there before, love the place. Had a great time doing Kendo over in Canada. And I'd definitely like to do it again. So yeah, probably I will do that at some point. In terms of getting the extra cake or to rent a gym space, talk to your sensei first. Don't just do it without mentioning, all right? And talk to the members of your club, because it really depends on what sort of level you are. If you're still a beginner, you said you're a beginner, then you need to be a little bit careful, All right, you need to be a little bit careful that you're not sort of going down the wrong track. But if you've got a bit of an idea of what you normally do, and there's a few of you that's interested, what I'd recommend you do, I'd probably talk to your teacher and say, do you mind if we do this? And if they're fine with you doing that, ask them as well, say, do you think we could maybe record it as well, maybe video it on your phone or something like that? And send the links over to your teacher as well, so that they can sort of keep an eye on what you're doing, and ask, make sure that you're not going off in a weird direction. I think is probably a good thing to do. They might not have time to watch it, of course, but offer to do it anyway, so that just in case. Okay, last one. Hi, Fish Sensei. I have a few questions based on the video. Hasso Sensei, Fukuoka Police versus Takeya Sensei, Kokushikan University in the 2004 7th Dan Championships. You put on the group. Okay, so this is a blog post I put up on KendoStar. 1. At 53 seconds, the white player tricks the opponent to think he's going to attack men. As a result, the opponent starts to block men, and then he attacked door. Why is he not rewarded with a point? Number 2, at 1 minute 32, the red player did a sudden kote strike while the opponent's moving forward. To me, it's a perfect strike. Why is no point given either? Same thing happened again at 2:54. A perfect kote strike, no reward. Really puzzled about this. Please share your understanding with us. Thanks. Okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll bring up that video. We'll have a look in a minute. But let's just bring the video up. All right. I think you're raising good questions. I think it's really good to watch videos like this and look at it this way. But what you have to realize is, and I'm not criticizing, I think you're doing the right thing by raising these questions in your mind, but you have to understand that the way I want you to sort of critically analyze these is think, okay, so where does my understanding of Yu Ko Datotsu, the valid strike, where does it not match up to what is actually happening in this match? All right, rather than, and I'm not saying this is what you're saying, but this is a common pattern for people. Why did the referees miss that point? Yeah, that isn't what happened. What happened is the way to examine this is, why does my understanding of Yu Ko Datotsu, not match with that of the Shimpan, who are in charge of actually administrating this Shiai? Yeah, does that make sense? So let's see if we can get this up, and we'll have a look, eh? Okay, so this was a video that was posted on our blog. The blog's at the bottom of our page. It was a few days ago, so it's not on the front page there, but it's this one here, isn't it? Hasso Sensei and Takeya Sensei. So this is a really great match. I love it because I've had the honor to have received the keiko from they practice with me for both of these sensei. They both received my keiko, I should say, is the right way to say, and they're both amazing, absolutely amazing. So let's have a look. So you said the first one was at 53. All right, 53. See if we can get rid of any ads and stuff like that. Right, okay. 53. So it's this one. This is where you said he went for, he tricked for the men and hit the door. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so one more time. Okay, this is not the Yu Ko Datotsu. Okay, it's not the Yu Ko Datotsu. For a strike to be considered Yu Ko Datotsu, it has to do much more than just for the Shinai just to reach the target of the other person's Borgu, and that's pretty much the only part of the criteria that this strike made, was that it managed to hit the Borgu. It lacks the tsuyosa to sae, so the power and crispness. I think there's a question over whether The opportunity is really fully created. It's not too bad. The posture is not amazing, so I think that's linked to the lack of saye. And of course, the sensei realizes immediately that this is not the Yuko Datotsu, so there's no continuation of zanshin. Okay, so yeah, he realizes that that's not ippon. All right, so he doesn't complete the waza. Okay, the second one was at 132. Let's have a look at that one. And you say this is a kote as the opponent moved forward. Okay, so that's that one. 132. So this kote here is not hitting the target. This is hitting the tsuba of the shinai. Okay, it's hitting the tsuba. Sensei again realizes that this kote is not meeting the criteria of Yuko Datotsu, and immediately tries to follow up with the second strike because he realizes that the first strike was not accurate. Okay, his second strike's not accurate either, so there's no ippon. Okay, it's close, the second one, but and then 254, same thing happened again. Let's have a look. Okay, so I understand you're talking about that one. Is the same thing happened? He hit the tsuba, so he's not hitting the target. Okay, it's hitting the tsuba. This is not hitting the kote. Okay, so you can tell from the noise. It makes a clicking noise. Not like that. That's my keyboard. Got a really loud keyboard. Not great for making videos. But anyway, makes a clicking noise. You hear that? Listen once again. I think you get it on the video. I think you get it. Yeah, it makes a click noise when he hits the shinai, the tsuba. All right. So it can't be considered the Yuko Datotsu because it didn't hit the target. Okay. So that's that. How is this shiai decided? Let's watch that just for fun. All right. Let's watch the very end of the shiai. Get a bit of closure. Such a great match. This really is. Two fantastic. See, that's a great example. That's a great example for you. I think you'll get the sound. I'll see if I can turn it up a bit. I think you'll get the sound, but the sound of this kote is different. Listen. It doesn't make a click sound. It doesn't make a click sound. You can hear the shinai hit the kote button, okay? The actual kote rather than the tsuba. It's fantastic as well. The opponent's hands up this way. Before, Hasso Sensei was still in his kamae, all right? So it's very, very difficult to create the opportunity to strike kote whilst they're still in the kamae, okay? So that's why, okay? So, thank you everyone for sending these wonderful questions. Have a fantastic weekend. I hope you're doing lots of Kendo. And shop at KendoStar. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.